Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Like questions that I want to ask you, or questions and then you're going to answer them for me, or questions that I want you to ask me?
Yeah, I've got all afternoon. I'm yours.
My name is Nina.
My name is Chase Ryan Joynt.
Before my name was Nina, my name was Rodney.
I don't tend to answer that question, mostly just because people who know that name tend to start using it.
I suppose that I identify in a lot of ways.
I identify as a trans man.
For a while I identified as a witch, as a fairy, as a cyborg. I used to think that I was a transsexual.
I suppose if I was to answer that question for my mom, it would be that I was born female.
The first cut, I don't mean the first surgical cut, I mean the first cut into my psyche, the first big trauma was maybe around 4 or 5 when I realized I was in the wrong body.
Sometimes positive.
My hope was that I would have 5 surgeries and be passable.
I think that's kind of like impossible to correlate.
The first things I did was my nose.
Working backwards, I had my elbow replaced with metal.
My chin.
I've had like a mole removed.
Cheek implants.
A root canal.
Brow lift.
And a hysterectomy and a double mastectomy.
And forehead shave.
You know, T does the secondary sex characteristics kind of thing.
I take hormones.
My voice is lower.
Hair extensions.
I sweat more.
Silicone.
I have at least 14 hairs on my chest.
As well, I eat processed food. I eat protein bars.
When I bulk up, I can make these holes really deepen in a way that they were unable to deepen before.
Oh, I don't know how much my parents totally understand about my identity.
My mom is an Orthodox Jew, so there have been some complicated negotiations.
I think my dad tells me to start listening to other people a little bit more.
I have no idea about my dad. I've never asked.
And then my mom wishes that everything wasn't so sexual.
I generally date people that I'm attracted to.
Well, I have a boyfriend and I have a girlfriend.
I suppose when I'm feeling really bad about myself, I'll occasionally date people who just make me feel really good about myself. That generally doesn't work out very well.
Maybe I'm making the question too complicated. The answer too complicated. But the question is too simple.
What do you think is between my legs?
It was always the balls that made me feel like a man.
That is none of your business.
The costs are that a surgically altered face feels deceitful to people.
These things are not without consequences.
And yet, the only reason it's not trustworthy is because so-called natural people don't get it.
I have many, many regrets.
No, see, that's the other thing. I actually don't have regrets.
It took me a long time to figure this out.
People want me to feel shame for the choices I've made.
Well, I think that when you fight really hard against something you... I don't know how you answer that.
Well, my answer is this. I always loved myself. I loved myself when I was in a male body.
No, certainly not.
Yes, I also hated myself too. There was a mingling of self-hatred and self-love.
I don't think you can ever feel complete. I feel more on track with various things that I want in my life than I ever have before.
Am I completely now resolved and like some fully formed, prepackaged human being that now totally accepts and loves myself? No, there's new challenges all the time.
I'm not even sure I always feel like a man now.
the idea that that's considered a failure, give me a fucking break.
You and me both.